Hey guys, welcome to my third episode of the Turning Wheels podcast. You can see I finally got a little setup now where I'm not in my car, so I'm finally excited to be able to start this. Hopefully you guys enjoy what I have to offer. And the story I'm going to be telling today is a story that happened back, hold on, I gotta check. Yes, February of 2008. I was actually 12 years old, and my brother drove around a Pontiac Grand Am GT. And for those of you who don't know what a Pontiac Grand Am GT is, I'm sure you've seen them around at some point. You either love the car or you absolutely hate it, and my brother absolutely loved them. I think my brother really wanted a GTO or a Pontiac Grand Prix, but that's what he could afford. It was a cool car. It was fun for what it was, I helped him work on it. We did it up, we did an exhaust, we did an intake, all the stupid stuff. So anyways, it's February, and that time of year, every year there was an event called Motorama, and that was at the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex. And what it was like a giant car show and all these cool events all packed into this one giant expo center. So over here was a car show and you could check out all these cool cars. You go down the hallway a little bit and there'd be dirt bike racing and go-kart racing and RC car racing, and they did so much cool stuff. There was muscle cars, classics, JDMs, everything that you could imagine was at these shows, and it just brought everybody together. Well, my brother ran into this guy that had a Pontiac GTO, which my brother, of course, loved. And at the time, this car was about 4 years old. It was a 2004 Pontiac GTO. And this car was immaculate. It was 4 years old, but the thing looked like it just came off the showroom floor. It was all red. It had black wheels. It had a carbon fiber hood. It had like green halos in the headlights. It was all done up. At that point, they had the LS1 in them. So a lot of people were like all excited about that because, it had an LS. It was like ready to rock and roll. It was a fast car. So anyways, my brother's super interested. He goes up and he starts talking to the guy. And when at like 12 years old, I'm following my older brother around like a lost dog. I wasn't really at the car show to see a GTO. I was there to see, 240SX or Mitsubishi Eclipse or something from that era that, the Fast and Furious era, because that's all I was into. Nowadays, I'm still into imports, but I appreciate everything. But at the time, I was like, muscle car or whatever. Anyways, my brother was talking to this guy with the GTO, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, who cares? And then the guy popped the trunk, and there's 2 giant bottles of Nitrous, Zex Nitrous system. And I was all interested at that point. And we were inside this complex, and you weren't supposed to start the car, you weren't supposed to play music or anything, and this guy flicks his car on for like half a second and just purges the nitrous up through the hood, and my mind was blown. I was like, I saw that in the movies, like that is so cool.
Shit, it's right.
And so I was so excited about that, and I was like, okay, we can hang out and talk to this guy and look at this car. So this guy was actually active military, and his car was in the show. He had to leave Saturday night. So my brother was like, hey man, like I enjoyed talking to you, you seem really cool. They exchanged numbers. And my brother was like, hey man, if you're not doing anything, tonight, whenever you take your car out of the show, we live like 40 minutes away from here. If you want to come out to a car meet, we always have all of our friends. We got a little car club. I got to tell you, it wasn't like the coolest car club in town. So anyways, this guy's like, cool man, like I'll hit you up, and we didn't really think nothing of it. We went home, we got dinner. And so my brother's phone goes off and he's like, oh, it's the guy from the car show. And he answers, he's like, hello. And the guy's like, hey man, he's like, give me an address, I'll be there. So my brother gives this guy an address, and at the time we all hung out in this Arby's parking lot. We had this mile stretch of road called Eisenhower Drive, and everybody just drove up and down, and they still do to this day. It's like a mile-long stretch of road, 2 lanes each way, divided by a median, and there's stores and whatever on both sides. So the guys would constantly find a new parking lot, roll in, squad deep, dozens of cars. The cops would come, kick you out, and then you'd go find another parking lot. You'd stay there for an hour until the cops came, kicked you out, and the cycle just continued. And we got lucky because we knew the person who ran the Arby's store. And so they were like, you guys can sit here all night long. I don't care if we're closed or not. Like, you have my consent to sit here. So if the cops come and they try and kick you out, tell them to kick rocks, and he wrote a little letter and he gave it to us. So we're like, yeah, come on, cops, we're going to give you this letter. You ain't kicking us out. And so we're there all night long. We're hanging out. This guy shows up with his GTO. We're having a blast. At this point, the fastest car in my town was probably like a 300 horsepower Blaubai STI. And then the next fastest was an SRT4 that was all done up. And so there was this orange SRT4. Oh, and there was also a turbo RSX that made like 300 horsepower. So this guy shows up with the GTO, and he's making about, LS1 at that time, making like 350 horsepower. And we're all like, man, this thing is fast. Well, this guy had a full Zex Nitrous system with a 250 shot. So we're talking 550, 600 horsepower out of this freaking thing. Fastest car any of us in this small town have ever freaking seen. So there's this guy with a purple Dodge Charger sitting in the Walmart parking lot. And the Walmart parking lot is connected to the Arby's parking lot. Like, you can just drive out of the Arby's parking lot and straight into the Walmart parking lot. And he's over there revving his engine, just carrying on. And we see this car come over. And we think, you know what, they're going to come over. They're going to try and talk to us, hang out. It'll be cool. And the guy in the Charger sent somebody in like a Honda Civic or something. He drives over. He comes over to us and he's like, hey, the guy over there in that Charger said this GTO is a slow piece of shit. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, who owns it? And the guy looks at him. He's like, you know who you're talking to? And the guy's like, hey, man, I'm just the messenger. And he gets back in his car and he drives off. And we're like, oh, man, it's about to go down, you know. And this guy's military. He's built. He's tall. Like, I'm like, man, there's going to be a fight or something's going to go down. And the guy gets in his GTO. And he drives over to this freaking V6 Charger. And he does the most wicked burnout I've ever seen in my life in front of this freaking Charger, just ripping the freaking, roasting the tires off. Just completely covers the Walmart parking lot in smoke. And we're all just like, yeah, man, like, this is awesome. Most action we've seen in freaking years, you know? And this guy's just roasting him. He starts doing like a half donut around the car, and then he comes back. And we don't have Ford Tauruses. We don't have Ford Explorers. We don't have Dodge Charger police cars. We had Crown Vics. Well, we did have a Ford Explorer in the town, but it was like an old, you know, those real boxy Ford Exploders, everyone called them. And so he's coming back, and this little Crown Vic police car comes whipping out of the like near the Chili's parking lot. So like Arby's is here, Walmart's here, and then like maybe like, I don't know, an eighth of the way down the road, there's a Chili's parking lot. And he saw all the smoke and whipped up. And as he's coming up, he sees the GTO leaving behind just this little puff of smoke, and he's pulling into the Arby's parking lot. And this cop comes, lights blazing, whipping into the parking lot. So this guy's in his GTO, pulling into the parking lot, sees the lights behind him, kicks the clutch, he's sideways, going back into the Arby's drive-thru. And there's this other guy. This guy was kind of weird. He didn't really talk to anybody. He didn't talk to the GTO guy. He didn't talk to us. And he's in a Celica. This guy hops in a Celica, steps on it. The GTO's coming around the freaking drive-thru, and the cop's following him through the drive-thru. The GTO gets out of the drive-thru, and the Toyota Celica pulls up and blocks the cop. So the cop's in this drive-thru, and there's nowhere for him to get out but backwards. And this freaking Celica's sitting here, and I'm like, I can't believe the cop didn't ram him or something, you know. The cops in our town never got any action, and they're probably like, I can't believe they didn't just plow into him, you know. So this cop's sitting here, like, kind of confused, not sure what to do. The GTO's going sideways out of Arby's onto the main stretch of road and just gone. The thing is just roasting tires all the way through freaking fourth gear, just gone. And this cop's trying to back out of this Arby's drive-thru. The guy in the Celica takes off, and then the cop finally gets out, gets around, and he comes back out, pulls out on the main stretch of road, lights and sirens blazing, just gone after this freaking GTO. And we're all sitting here cheering and carrying on like, oh my God, did you see that? Did you see that? We were like, damn, we just lost our hangout spot. You know, the cops are definitely kicking us out. Things have calmed down, we're hanging out, and all of a sudden we hear this sound in the distance. We're like, is that freaking GTO? And here he comes right down at this intersection. There was an intersection right after the Arby's parking lot. And he's coming down, he gets to the intersection, we see him at the red light, and we're like, no way. And he's sitting there purging his nitrous at the freaking red light. And we're like, what is this guy doing? So at the whole opposite end of the road, you know, like a mile down the road, there's a little car wash called Greenies. Well, it used to be called Greenies, and we would all sit there and wash our cars and hang out. And so we told the GTO, like, hey man, we're going to go hang out at the car wash, pull your car in one of the car wash bays, and we'll shut the door. And so we all go down to the car wash, we're hanging out, the GTO pulls into the bay, we shut the door, and so like the cops driving by don't see his car because the bay's shut. And we're just hanging out, man. We had like the best freaking time, everything's all good. When it's getting late, it's that time of night, you know, and the cops are like getting sick of it, you know, seeing us sit there, and they're like, wow, we're going to come in and kick you out. So this cop comes in, he comes around, and we see him start sneaking around through the back. And I was like, dude, that's the same cop that went after that GTO. And we're like, dude, go, 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 go. And we lift up this door. The guy cranks up his GTO, and boom, there he goes. The cop sees him, goes whipping through the parking lot with all of his freaking lights off. Headlights, nothing. There's no lights on. He thinks he's got to catch this GTO like he didn't just see him. And so the GTO's out. The freaking cop's whipping through the parking lot, like no lights on whatsoever. Damn near hits somebody, pulling out. So there was a Sheetz gas station right next to the car wash. And the cop comes out through that gas station, damn near hitting somebody. And we're like, whoa. Whips out after that GTO, and the GTO is just gone. And we're like, dude, like, this guy's nuts. A couple hours later, you know, we're all getting ready to go home, and we're all like, dude, I wonder what happened, because we didn't see the cop come back. We're like, I wonder if he got him. I wonder if something happened. My brother's phone goes off. He's like, dude, it's him, it's him. He's like, hey, man, what happened? What's going on? He's like, man, that cop didn't have a chance in hell of catching me. And we all just started dying laughing, man. And that's really it. That's the end of the story. But it was such a freaking fun time. And being a 12-year-old kid, that memory has stuck in my head. Like, that was still to this date one of the coolest things that ever happened in our little small town. There was always street racing and everything, but like nothing like that epic ever happened again. Like to this day, I don't think. It just sticks with me. So I thought that was a funny story I could share with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you don't feel like I wasted your time. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you checking out the podcast. I have a couple topics that I want to talk with you guys about. But until then, guys, if you liked the video, please smash the thumbs up button. It really helps me gauge whether or not you guys like the content. And if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Last but not least, please leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know, when you were younger, is there any moment in your childhood that happened that you're just like, you carried it on with you and like you remembered it, like something car related, obviously. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed talking with you guys in the comments. So I appreciate you checking out the video. Hopefully this didn't get too long after I edited it. But anyways, guys, I'm done now. I'm done. I swear. I'm done. I promise this is it. I'm done. Okay, see ya. Bye.